Hey guys, how are you? Happy summer, I guess, right? It doesn't even matter what the day of the week is anymore. We're all kind of like living in a little bit of a bubble. All right, so I'm super excited that everyone showed up tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about, hold on, I just want to adjust my screen. We are going to talk about sleep, okay? This is a subject that I feel like is near and dear to everybody and is something that is constantly being asked. I think if I was to teach a class in an environment, most people, their big things are sleep, seasonal stuff, stress, and hormones. Okay, so we're going to touch on one of the biggest ones. But what's interesting is that sleep is actually one of the most important things we can do from an immunity standpoint from ourselves. Okay, like I talk about why I love to exercise every day. Obviously, we need to do things all in a whole group. We're not just talking about things in singularity, okay? So we have to start working on little different aspects of our life. We need really good exercise. We need really good sleep. We need really good hydration. We need really good macronutrients, which is really good dense nutrients for our body, okay? And we need to reduce the stress in our bodies. All of these things together, if you kind of think about it as a circle, all kind of play off of each other. If you are super stressed, it's going to affect all aspects of your life. If you are someone who was relatively athletic or moving your body a lot, and then the last couple of months with everything going on has become very sedentary, you'll start to probably notice that your sleep patterns are off a lot. The stress is even more, right? Because we use a lot of these things to actually balance everything, okay? So again, also, as we start to age and go through different cycles of our life, now this could be anything from like you being a preteen, actually getting your period, into coming into where we are and getting into kind of like early adulthood into adulthood and going through hormones and everything like that. It could be kind of more what I'm at, I'm 45, kind of more the transitioning of like, I'm not at a menopause yet, but I'm starting to get symptomology towards there. So that does affect your sleep because your hormone cycle becomes off, and after menopause, etc. So there's all these things that are playing in. And I think it's super important for everyone to understand that just like when we talk about hormonal support, there's no one way of actually figuring out for everybody like a blanket thing. But this is going to be a very generic class and reminding everybody how to actually, there's multiple tools that we can use, okay? One of the best ways to sleep straight off the bat, guys, is to move your body every day. Get up, sweat, move. Because when we exercise, your body naturally gets tired and it comes home and it wants to relax, okay? It allows our bodies to actually shut down, which allows our brains to shut down, okay? So one of the most important things to do is get out, move your body, sweat, do whatever you need to do every single day. Doesn't matter if it's 5 o'clock in the morning or at 8 o'clock at night, move your body, okay? Really good food. Okay. We know, and listen, like I'm an 80-20 girl. Like I love to go out and I love to have my glass of wine. I love when my kids bake cookies, but 80% of the time I try to eat really good, dense nutrients, right? Especially being cognizant when you're eating food. If you're eating a lot of food and then 15 minutes or 20 minutes later trying to go to sleep, it's going to affect your sleep cycle. It may not, you might fall asleep like instantly, but like at 2 o'clock in the morning, your body's going to start waking up. There is an interesting phenomenon, and we're not going to have a massive conversation about this, talking about your liver. And your liver obviously clears everything in your body. Your liver wakes up every day at the same time. Okay. It does not. It usually wakes up, most people notice sometime between 2 and 4, okay? Mine tends to be at 3 o'clock. So if I eat food or drink something at night that sets that off, I will wake up when my liver kicks on to start cleaning. So obviously the cleaner you eat, the less you if you're like if you don't drink alcohol or minimal amount of alcohol, you're making sure you're really flushing yourself with it, okay? These are just like very basic things. Reducing the stress in your body. Now again, eating really good food, exercising, really good for all these things. But if you don't reduce that stress in your body, it's going to be very, very, very hard to figure out how to settle yourself down. So a lot of you guys do know I do have a yoga background, which I do spend quite a bit of time throughout the course of the day. And I have to remind myself sometimes, okay, I'm not perfect, and this does not come naturally easily to me. And I think like my mother is so excited that I finally got here, because I was always like, yeah, breathing, whatever. You always have breath. You guys always have the opportunity to take breath. Nobody can take that away from you. We tend to, especially when we're anxious, we're all up here. We're kind of like running around, right? You're in like that fight or flight standpoint. You don't ever let anything come down. So sitting still, closing your eyes, removing yourself, like you could be sitting at your desk, close your computer. okay? If you are currently using essential oil, like Young Living essential oils, grab your favorite. Grab your Stress Away, grab your Valor, grab your Peace and Calming. You can even do that right now. Grab something that makes you stop, okay? Put it on your hands and cup your nose just like this, and I want you to breathe. I want you to take the time to actually give this to yourself, okay? As you start to do that, oh yeah, all right, nice one. As you do that, like what, and you guess what? These things change, right? I can have a combination of multiple things. Like I've got a Dressed Away here that has like the little roller on it. Like even just like putting it under my nose and taking a second. Oh yeah, top of head, Elaine, I'm like, love it, right? So taking this time to actually just be like, okay, I need to stop, okay? We always have breath. Our breath is always with us. And my suggestion is 5 breaths in, hold it at the top, and then 5 breaths out, and do it for about 5 times. That's approximately a minute, and actually you'll start to notice your heart rate will start to come down. So if you think about it, if you jump into bed, right, and you've got 10,000 things going on in your head, and you jump into bed, but you give yourself that 5 minutes to actually do that. I mean, like 5 breaths to do that, and you give yourself a minute. Imagine if you gave yourself 5 minutes, how your body would actually start to kind of sink into that space. So using your breath with essential oils, nothing better, okay? Most of us, I will say, like I sleep with a whole bunch of oils next to my bed. If I feel like and I put them on, and we're gonna talk a little bit about that, but if I wake up in the middle of the night knowing that it's there, I've actually trained my brain that when it smells a certain essential oil, it knows like, okay, it's time to go back to bed, because you can actually reprogram in a very positive way, which is pretty amazing with your smell. So think about that. 2 more little tidbits for you guys from a yoga perspective as far as sleep. If you are having a hard time sleeping, turn around in your bed or lay on your floor and put your legs up the wall, okay? Which I would say, I was just like, put them against your headboard, put them up the wall. Actually have the blood come down from your feet and pull down your body. It actually starts to relax your body. While you're doing that, you're not scrolling the Instagram, you're not looking at Facebook, you are very intentionally sitting there trying to get your body to relax as you're breathing. Okay. And another one is actually inversion. So people will do headstands. It doesn't have to be as dramatic as that. You can literally spread your legs and just put your head down between your legs, getting the blood flow down to your head. That actually helps as well. As you're doing that, you actually have to stop. Your breathing will start to slow down. So these are just like little things that we all kind of have as tools with us, okay? Let's not even talk about anything else like from a supplement standpoint or essential oils. These are all things that you have that you can kind of add into your toolbox, okay? Because remember, this is an entire thing that we're all dealing with. It's not just anything in singularity. Now, let's talk about, I do want to really, really touch on one subject before we talk about sleep explicitly: stress. Stress affects so much of our bodies. There are some amazing supplements, and I think we will actually do an independent class directly talking about stress and how to actually manage that. But I really think it's important for you guys to understand this. When people are anxious, and we have been in a very anxious part of our lives right now, there's a lot of unknowns, okay? There's a lot of frustrations, there's a lot of confusions, and there's no real answers, right? And that can be very overwhelming from us. I'm very much included in this whole thing. Like I always joke, I fluctuate between being like, screw it all, and I'm locking myself in a room because I don't know what's happening, right? We all have that. I think it's totally normal, and we have to honor that. But understanding that managing your stress is going to probably be one of the biggest factors in getting yourself to sleep. Now, that said, again, we go back to good food, drinking water, and learning how to do that. But like, I really want to take a minute to like remind you, when you get into bed, just like we all wake up, like I wake up every morning with intentions of how I'm gonna start the day. And one of those is actually I work out and then I journal. When I skip this, and I have friends who will be like, did you not journal today? They can tell because it's like how I've intentionally, my body has gotten part of a routine, okay? Routine can be very difficult for people, but it is very, very, very important for our bodies, okay? Especially since our bodies like to, generally, most of us should be going to bed. Doesn't matter if it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, okay? We're not in college anymore, or maybe you are, but you start to notice those fluctuations. Like, it's important to kind of have a good night time and a wake up time within obviously, like, you don't have to fly yourself out of bed, but like understanding that. But really getting your stress under control and managing that kind of just like craziness that we all feel. There are 2 ways that I personally do it, and I think there's lots of other things to do it, obviously exercise, etc. But is being very intentional about my nighttime routine. I take my phone, it is plugged in, not next to me. It is on the other side of my room. I do respect the fact that people use them as alarm clocks. I personally do, I do as well, but it is plugged in the other side of the room. So if my alarm goes off in the morning, I actually have to get my bum out of bed and actually do it. If it's something you need to keep next to you, you're going to have to be very regimented about it. I think it's a very particular person who can actually keep it next to them. You got to make sure, you can put it in like night mode, do everything, shut it off. Preferably do not look at a screen an hour before you go to bed. And I know this is a huge one for people. And it's actually interesting. TVs are less disruptive. Okay. I think like probably back in the day before we had cell phones, like iPhones, people would have said, don't look at the TV, right? You definitely don't want to sleep with the TV on because your brain is constantly kind of listening to it in the background. But now, because of how the pixelation and everything and all the blue light that's coming in, removing yourself from a screen, especially when you're like people are in the dark and they're looking at the screen, it's very, very traumatic to our eyes and they get overwhelmed, which affects our brains. So you really want to try to shut all that stuff off. We want to create a sanctuary for yourself. I want you to think about your bedroom and sleep as like being when you would want to go have a massage or go to a spa or whatever your like happy little places. You're not like sitting there like scrolling through the internet when you're at a spa. You're laying there like sitting in a jacuzzi tub or letting someone massage you or getting your feet rubbed. Okay, you're not multitasking because that's not what would be appropriate for that space, but you know that. So you have to be intentional about creating a space for yourself. And this is how we're going to talk about, like, I don't care if it's like you sit, like you have a steam shower before you go to bed. There's people who take baths before they go to bed. One of the best things to do if you are a bather, which I don't even know what that means, but when I was younger, I was a teenager, and I don't think I even realized this until like I've been older. We had a bathtub, and every night I would finish my homework and I would get into the tub for 30 minutes. And then when I got out of it, I was so relaxed, I'd go right to bed. This is something I just started doing, like something for myself, right? Because I think it's interesting when we're younger, we tend to just do things that we need for ourselves. We don't think a lot about it. As we become adults, we overanalyze the bejesus out of everything and have a lot more responsibilities, okay? But like finding something that's a routine. Obviously, I actually do not have a tub that I would love to hang out in right now because my kids use it. So I use different things. One of my biggest things is making sure my phone is set away. I do have a television in my room, but I have to tell you, it is very infrequently turned on because I was starting to notice for myself, this is a personal thing, that it was becoming like when I would try to go to sleep afterwards, my brain was still thinking. Even if I watch a television show downstairs, transition, go upstairs, it changes it for me, okay? Just things to like really think about if you're having disruption of sleep. So putting that away. One of my favorite ways now is I have a diffuser next to my bed. Okay, now we're going to talk a little bit about the Young Living like oils and supplements. I have a diffuser next to my bed. Everyone in my house has a diffuser next to the bed. The cool thing about the diffuser I have next to my bed is it can be used for a night light for kids who need light, and it can go all the way through where it just diffuses the cold mist for me, which is my favorite. So I go in there and I put in my two favorites that I do all the time. Sometimes I shake it up, but I'm going to give you like very basics. It is lavender and cedarwood every single night. Okay. I put it in the diffuser. I go all the way through getting rid of the light, even though the lights are still on in my room, and start diffusing that. So as I'm doing that, I'm like, whatever, doing stuff in my room, talking to my kids, brushing my teeth, washing my face, creating the routine that actually goes into bedtime. By the time I get into bed, I may not even be able to like really smell anymore, but I've created a space. If anybody walks into it, you can smell it. Like when I leave, I'm like, oh, it smells so lovely in my room. I've created that space for myself to be able to sleep. So now my brain's like, oh, lavender and cedarwood, it's time to go to bed. Okay. It starts to relax myself. That is like one very simple thing that we have all done. That was like kind of the basic. If you were to ask me a place to start, I would say start diffusing. Okay. I am a big topical essential oil person. I think it is really important to get the oils on your body. Okay. I think it is very, very important. We all talk about it. I have oils like, you guys, I have a necklace on myself. I mean, all day long, I am putting oils on my body. And you always see me, I go under my nose. It's always been a thing. And I'm like, oh, okay. But I'm getting, because I want to be able to smell them, right? Because I can tell like it reprograms my brain. So get them on your body. Some of the oils, like there are oils like valerian and rutavala that do smell not fabulous. I'm not going to lie. Because remember, this is therapeutic. This is not just something that's going to be like, oh, it's like, it smells amazing. This is actually things that can help work with our cellular systems to help us relax. Rutavala and valerian. Valerian is actually in rutavala. Rutavala has Roman chamomile and has lavender. So it has a little bit of a milder smell. I'm not going to lie. One of them actually, some people, okay, so here's the deal. Some people love the smell. Some people hate the smell. I hate the smell, but I'm going to tell you right now, when my husband puts valerian on his feet, he sleeps so well. And it was something that we actually learned at the beginning of COVID. So because we were kind of used to our routine, we were fine, but we needed to up our ante a little bit. So we added in valerian. I actually added in rutavala, and I added in CBD for myself, which I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit more. And there's actually something I'm going to test out for the next 6 weeks to see how it goes for the summer. But we started adding in these things. So we started in a space. Oh, you love the smell of it? Do you? Rutavala or valerian? Which one? Both? Always? Okay, so here's the deal. We have like a testimony in here. She's on mute right now, but I had everyone put everything in the chat. I think that's really interesting. So, but again, even if she didn't love the smell of it, if it's something you start using for 30 days, and I encourage you always, always, always to find an oil and try to use it for 30 days if it's something you don't really feel like is your jam at the moment, and see actually how it works, because it starts to reprogram. It becomes a routine. It becomes a routine for your body. Your body gets used to when you're using it or what it's for, okay? So some people love it. So Rutavala is super easy because it comes in this little roller. So straight up for me, because I don't like the smell of it, I just open this little sucker up and I just roll it in the inside arches of my feet. It does not look pretty. You don't have to worry about it. Your feet are they actually have more pores than I can smell it. They have more pores than any other area of your body concentrated. But the thing is, like, your skin's a little bit rougher. So as opposed to putting it near something that might be a little bit more sensitive, you can pretty much put anything on your feet. And within 20 minutes, because the rule is therapeutic grade A Young Living essential oils, within 20 minutes, it's in all your cells of your body. So it doesn't matter where you're putting it on, crown of your head, feet, etc. Okay. But that's like a second layer that goes on with it. There are so many different oils that you can use that start, like, especially the ones that come in our starter bundles. We talk about Stress Away, Valor, and Peace and Calming, which are kind of my like everyday jam. I will tell you that Peace and Calming and Valor are something that I use all day long. I have multiple friends who have children who actually have made Peace and Calming into a linen spray for themselves. So think about that. You can create, like, you've bought for years, right? You go somewhere and like, oh, linen spray. It always has lavender in it, right? You can turn around and create your own linen spray. It takes 2 seconds, okay? You get like little bottles. You put probably, like, I'd say somewhere between 15 and 30, depending on how strong you want it, into a little bottle. You fill the rest with like a distilled water or a purified water. Put a little bit of vodka. Sometimes I would say you want to use grain alcohol. You can use witch hazel, but witch hazel does sometimes have a little bit of a smell to it. So most people end up using a little bit of grain alcohol just to get the mixture to come together, or don't use it. It doesn't really matter. Shake it up and you spray your bed. Okay. Again, you're creating an atmosphere for yourself to sleep. Okay. Which I think is super important. You're creating that smell. You're creating that spa-like feeling. I do want to deviate for a second before I talk about 2 supplements that you can actually take before you go to sleep, and talk about supplements that I use that are external from Young Living that I've actually used for years. So I have 2 different brands here. They're magnesium. Okay. So this is Calm. These are both Amazon. Okay. I actually think this is their Magnesium Fizz. I think this is another one that was on. You can obviously see that we're big fans of magnesium here. Magnesium is amazing for your body. It actually is, when you have like worked out and your muscles are sore, it actually helps you to relax. So you can take this. So a lot of people actually take it before they go to bed. So if you have aches and pains, I threw my back out once and I was using multiple things, but every night to kind of get the spasm from me to calm down, I would take a scoop of this and I would drink it before I go to bed, and it would relax all the muscles in my body. So obviously, if you're relaxing all the muscles in your body, what happens? Your body is actually able to relax and go to sleep. Okay, so you can actually take these independently. I will tell you that sometimes, and you do have to play around. The cool thing is Young Living actually just made, and I'm like, hold on, I can reach. I'm like, I left it here. They actually just made a product for kids, which I thought was genius. Okay, you're using it. Okay. Genius, genius, genius. So they pivoted really well. And we're talking about, like, when we were talking about what was happening, everyone being home, they named it Unwind. I will tell you, my kids are 16, 14, and 11. My 11-year-old son, even now, I'm like, he's still like, I don't like, when my kids were little, you take them to go like out of the bath, and it was like manic. I'm like, I don't know what had happened to him. It was like setting them on fire. If I had known about essential oils when my kids were little, I would have been like rubbing their feet down, rubbing their spines down, putting a diffuser on, creating the space. I would have put them in Epsom salts in their tubbies. Okay. I'm not going to lie up. Like, I wish I had all that for them, but they created these supplements called Unwind. And the cool thing is they're individually packed, super easy. They have watermelon flavor. Okay. You just rip them open and pour them down your mouth. They have a little bit of magnesium. They have Roman chamomile in them. They have lavender in it. So it's all things that are obviously for a child's metabolism, the size of them, that is super easy, that helps your body to relax and unwind. Okay. Has magnesium in it. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Love it. Okay. Adult can take this, or like you're a teenagers, etc. Do watch out with, not with this one, but sometimes you will have kids that will end up having a little bit looser stools. Sometimes they go one way, sometimes they go the other way, but that's just like anything. You always have to play around with things and be cautious and be careful. Doesn't matter what supplement it is, but these are like, doesn't matter. Just make sure it's they're different flavors. So it's really up to you. It just says magnesium supplement and they're in powder. Okay, from an adult standpoint. So my husband, actually, he likes, oh, this one's close. He likes to take a scoop of magnesium. He has a diffuser next to his bed. He puts valerian, that we talked a little bit about before, on his feet. Okay, it kind of smells like whatever. And then he will take the CBD roller. Okay, they have a Calm CBD roller. And the cool thing about the CBD from Young Living, it has no THC in it. And this is super important for people to understand. You know, this is not, like, everyone's like, oh, it's pot and whatever. I'm like, it is not. There is zero THC in it. So it's not altering anything. Okay, it is actually allowing the receptors in your body to calm down. And I had an interesting conversation with friends, and we were talking about the use of CBD. And I will tell you straight up, for me, and there's other people, that I use CBD muscle rub all the time, okay, for aches and pains. Amazing. I layer it with other essential oils. I use the Calm roller, which I'm talking about. I will take this every night. Okay, this is something I added in the last 3 or 4 months, and I will put it down the back of my spine. I will put it around my face. I'll put it on my wrist before I'm going to bed. So I'm adding that into my nighttime routine. Love it. It's been great for just kind of like getting me to calm down. But I actually am going to test out for the summer, ingesting CBD, and you actually want to take it for 30 to 60 days, because you have to let it build up in your system. It's one of those things you start and you can decrease the dosage as it becomes more into your body. I'm actually looking at it for 2 reasons. One, I want to see, I'm doing it with my daughter. We had a conversation about it last night. I am going to deal with her for more of like her anxiety and having a hard time shutting her brain off at night. It was after having a conversation with a friend of mine, and she was suggesting it. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to try it. The worst things, like, there's nothing, worst things going to happen. It's not going to work. Okay. But so just getting the brain to shut down, because again, we have to remember, like, we as adults, a lot of things going on, but as a mom of teenagers, it is sometimes super hard for us to understand where their brains are at, because there's so many things developmentally that are going on. There's so many just kind of, we'd say, like the BS that happens in being a teenager that you couldn't pay me to go back to do, but they're also trying to deal with really big issues. Okay. They're dealing with the big issues of COVID. They're dealing with the issues of not seeing their friends. Like, these are things that is super hard for them to understand, because again, their brains are still developing. They're like 16, 17, 18 years old. They're not adults. Okay. If it's hard for an adult, imagine how it's hard for them. So we had a conversation about it after. And so she agreed to let me like kind of do this experiment with her. So I will get back to you on how this actually works out, because I think it's been interesting. I am going to look at it from more of an anti-inflammatory perspective, which was a friend of mine had said the same thing. She's looking at a different perspective for that. So I'm going to add this in. But as far as like actual roller, I love it. And the cool thing is you can use this on your kids. Okay. You can use this for everybody, which is awesome. All right. There's one last oil, and then I'm going to pop off here because I want to be respectful of everyone's time. And we started a few minutes late. Progressins Plus. Okay, Progressins Plus, excuse moi. Okay, this is something that I use every single night before I go to bed. It's become part of my routine. It is kind of like it makes happy, balanced women. We'll just put it to you that way. We can talk about it from more of a hormonal standpoint. It actually comes from wild yams is one of the bases of it, which actually helps to modulate your body, the progesterone that's in your body, right? And so when we have dips in our progesterone is actually when our hormonal system goes like this. So keeping our progesterone levels high enough and a straight line is very, very key. So you're not waking up in the middle of the night. So this has become my new best friend. I will tell you, I was very reluctant against this. Someone kept on saying to me, just take it. I don't know why you're not taking it. I was using oils for 2 years. And I'm like, I don't need it. I'm not there. Life-changing. I'm going to tell you, like, was life-changing from my menstruation standpoint. It was life-changing for going to sleep. Again, right? I'm like, everyone's like, who's used it? Little roller cap on it, right here in the inner arms, down. You tend to do it in places that have no hair. So people talk about inner arms, this part of your body, like, yeah, exactly. Or down by your ankles. Smells kind of like spearmint, easy, done. Call it a day. Okay. We could have a class on this, but I think it's important for women to understand from a hormonal standpoint, this can be a huge game changer for that. So those are just kind of like my general like tips for everybody. I hope it was super helpful. If you have questions, obviously at any point, reach out and ask anybody in this group or myself. And I hope you guys all have an amazing evening. I'll talk to you later. Bye.